Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Literature with Daniel. Today, we're on Canto 7 of Dante's Inferno. We just left Circle 3, or the Gluttons, and now we're coming in to Circle 4, the Hoarders and Wasterers. This canto actually has two circles in it, but I'm not going to get onto the fifth circle because that's covered more extensively in Canto 8. So I'll just leave that up for the next episode when I talk about the fifth circle. Back to the fourth circle. Dante and Virgil, they leave the Gluttons, right? And they get into the fourth circle. When they enter this circle, the first person they meet is this. I'll call it a demon, but it's actually referred to as a monster in the poem. Pluto. Pluto is the Roman name for the god of the underworld. It's also a bit more significant than that. Pluto, also in Roman mythology, is the god of ores, things that lie beneath the earth. So diamonds, gold, silver, bronze, zinc. I said zinc because I wanted to. And all these minerals, which are really valuable, right? And so he's significant here because you have a bunch of hoarders and wasterers. Hoarders, what the hoarders did in their life was that they just kind of wasted everything. Oh, sorry. They hoarded everything. So they got a bit of money, they hoarded it. They never used it on anything. They never used it to help people. They never used it to help themselves. They just kind of took it and they just bloodthirsty for money, basically. They would do anything for money, which is a sin, and that's why they're here. And then you have the wasterers. The wasterers, as implied by the name, they wasted everything. All their money, all their crops. So they wasted their money, which they could have helped their families with, they could have helped themselves with, they could have helped someone else with. But no, they just wasted it on. I don't know, what do people waste money on these days? I'll say. I don't know, there's a lot of things that you can waste your money on. A lot of things. But mostly, I'll say the things that are sin to waste your money on is immoral things. Anyway, Dante and Virgil come into this circle, and Pluto, he's so stunned by seeing a living person in hell. He starts stuttering and mumbling all this stuff. You can Dante doesn't know one earth he's saying, but the only words he can figure out that Pluto's saying, Pluto's muttering something in gibberish that sounds like Papa Satan, Alebe. It doesn't have any translation because it's supposed to be Italian gibberish. It's many people though expect it to be quite a dark, humorous, so to speak, way of calling Satan the Pope of Hell. Which, I mean, hey, when it would make kind of sense because of the Papa stuff and Satan, but it's just the way that the writer Dante or Alighieri. Let's call the author Alighieri, and we call the character Dante. Alighieri, that's how he just wanted to envision it, so he just envisioned it that way. And so Pluto's stuttering all this stuff out of his mouth, and Virgil finally tells him, "Shut up." That's not what he actually says, but that's what he says in a condensed version of actually his own lines of what he says to Pluto. And Pluto's like, "Oh, okay, fine, I'll be quiet." He doesn't say another word. Then Dante and Virgil walk past Pluto unharmed, and then this is when they see the Hoarders and Wasterers. This is when Dante actually sees what they're doing, because you already know what their sin was, because I just explained it let's say about 2 minutes ago. But this is their punishment. Since hoarding and wasting is, so to speak, somewhat related, because it has something to do with wanting money or getting rid, or like vanishing money, basically. They're connected in that sense. And so the hoarders and wasters, they all have a giant rock that they have to carry around all over the place. And every once in a while, all the hoarders and all the wasters will run at each other with these rocks and start smashing each other with the rocks. The left side, which is the hoarders, crying, "Why do you waste?" And the right side, the wasters, crying, "Why do you hoard?" It's kind of a bit ironic that they have to yell at each other for the sins they committed on Earth. But hey, Alighieri was a very interesting man. They do this constantly, and it's like a war going on because there's so many souls here that Dante depicts it. Well, the character, he thinks, wow, this must be a war going on because it's so loud as well. And as they're there, they're looking at this mess, and Dante asks Virgil, "Can I go around and see if I can recognize anyone so I can talk to them and find out how they ended up here? And are those people of the cloth?" For those of you who don't know, the cloth is a word that you would use for the people in the clergy, which be it a deacon, priest, bishop, archbishop, cardinal, pope, something of the kind. And the reason why Dante asks this is because there's a lot of priests in the wasterers side, or the hoarders. Well, they're in both sides, but it's more hoarders than wasterers. And Virgil responds, "Yeah, because you see all these priests, they all wanted money, so they just start hoarding money really bad, because to, the seed of hoarding, like of greed, basically, is most fruitful in the plants of someone in a high respect. Respect meaning like hierarchy. A priest is on the higher you are in, you're supposed to be better in moral standards, but not everyone's perfect. All these priests and popes and whatnot, they're in hell. Then again, Alighieri did have a lot of stuff against the priests during this time in the 1300s, because this was when all these priests are taking advantage of people, saying, "Hey, if you pay me money, then I'll allow you to hear. Then I'll allow. Well, sorry. Then I'll hear your confession." That's not how it should work. But remember, not everything's perfect. Even the Catholic Church has had a few things happen to it, but it's still held strong. Dante, if, as I said, asked if he could wander around, see if he can find anyone he recognizes, Virgil tells him, "No, that's a fool's hope. You're not going to find out anything, because these people in life, they hoarded so much and they wasted so much that it contaminated their souls to such a degree that now in death they're no longer recognizable." And Virgil's like, "Oh, well, that sucks." And then they leave the circle. That's how short this circle is. It's really short because no one talks. They don't recognize anyone, so they just kind of leave while They leave the war behind them. Then they come across the fifth circle, the circle of the wrathful. It's very, very violent in this circle. But that would be for another time in my next episode. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.